Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most provocative and transformative books in feminist thought, Beyond God the Father by Mary Daly. Published in 1973, this work shook the foundations of theology and challenged the deep structures of patriarchy that have shaped Western religion for centuries. And in this video, we'll explore what Daly argues, how she deconstructs traditional Christian ideas, and why her message still matters today for anyone interested in feminism, spirituality, or the philosophy of liberation. Mary Daly's Beyond God the Father is not just a critique of religion, it's a bold call for a spiritual revolution. Daly argues that the entire framework of traditional theology has served as a tool for male dominance. According to her, by portraying God as male, religion elevates masculinity to divinity itself. This is captured perfectly in her famous line, "If God is male, then male is God." This idea forms the heart of Daly's argument that religious imagery doesn't merely reflect patriarchy, but actively creates and maintains it. When God is imagined as Father, Lord, or King, these titles reinforce a cosmic hierarchy where men hold divine authority and women are symbolically and socially marginalized. And Daly meticulously examines how the Judeo-Christian tradition has institutionalized this imbalance. Biblical stories, church hierarchies, and theological teachings have repeatedly depicted women as secondary, sinful, or dependent on men. The story of Eve, created from Adam's rib and blamed for humanity's fall, becomes a cornerstone for centuries of female scapegoating, a myth that justified women's exclusion from priesthood, education, and even basic rights. Through this lens, Christianity is revealed not just as a religion, but as a system that sacralizes patriarchy. It gives divine legitimacy to male rule and embeds this belief deep within culture, language, and consciousness. NNBUT Daly doesn't stop at critique. She calls for a radical awakening. She urges women to move beyond God the Father, to reject patriarchal religion altogether and forge a new spiritual consciousness rooted in freedom, creativity, and authenticity. NNFOR Daly. This isn't about reforming the church, it's about transforming the human spirit. She envisions the women's movement as a sacred revolution, an exodus out of patriarchal oppression toward a new mode of existence. Central to this vision is her concept of being, a continuous, dynamic process of becoming one's true self. In contrast to the static and submissive roles assigned by male-dominated culture, Daly's being represents spiritual liberation and authentic existence. On this vision of authentic being, Daly turns toward another vital force for transformation, sisterhood. She sees the bond between women as more than solidarity. It's a revolutionary power capable of reshaping consciousness and society itself. In a world fragmented by patriarchal competition and isolation, women coming together in mutual recognition and support becomes a radical act. Daly argues that this sisterhood isn't just emotional connection, it's an ontological threat to male supremacy. When women recognize their shared oppression and collective humanity, they begin to dismantle the very systems that depend on keeping them divided and silent. Daly also critiques what she calls reformist approaches to religion, efforts to make Christianity more inclusive by adding female imagery, ordaining women, or softening patriarchal language. For her, these changes don't go far enough. They merely decorate a structure that was built to uphold male dominance. Adding a feminine face to a patriarchal God doesn't change the foundation, it just repaints it. True liberation, Daly insists, requires nothing less than a complete spiritual revolution, not reform, but rebirth. From this perspective, Daly positions the women's liberation movement as the greatest spiritual revolution of all, one that surpasses traditional religious categories altogether. For her, feminism isn't separate from spirituality, it is the central spiritual journey of our time. Every act of resistance, every refusal of a prescribed role, becomes an act of cosmic defiance, a challenge to the very order of reality that patriarchy has constructed. NN Speech Balloon. The power of naming, a key idea running through Daly's thought, is the power of language. patriarchy doesn't just control institutions, it controls meaning. It defines what is normal, what is holy, and even what is human. By naming the world in male terms, it renders women's experiences invisible or deviant. Women's liberation, then, must include a linguistic revolution, reclaiming the power to name their own reality, to invent new symbols and language that reflect their truth. For Daly, this act of naming is not just intellectual, it's spiritual, creative, and world-changing. It's through new language that women can reimagine existence itself. And Dizzy, the courage to leave in Daly, doesn't shy away from the pain of this journey. She acknowledges that breaking away from patriarchal religion means confronting loss of community, belonging, and sometimes identity itself. Women who challenge these sacred traditions often face ridicule, isolation, and disbelief. But Daly insists that this exodus is necessary, that only by walking away from what confines us can true being emerge. NNSHE ends the book with a powerful, hopeful vision, one where both women and men might eventually transcend the limiting categories of patriarchy. But Daly emphasizes it must begin with women, because they have the clearest vision of what must change and the most to gain from transforming the world.